What's up?
Aren't you doing it for the likes?
Nah, I ain't doing it for the likes.
Oh, okay. Hold up. So you doing it for the pussy?
Nah, I mean, yeah, no, I ain't doing it for that.
Okay, then. What are you doing it for?
Man, I do it for the culture.
Culture.
Hey now, what's up, everybody? It's your favorite host of the For the Culture live podcast, Nick Alexander. I'm not really sure why I'm talking like an old pedophile. But I'm doing good today, man. I'm hype about today's show, man. Today, this was for the nerds, man. This was for all the dudes and the ladies that really dig comic book type of talk. Okay, not the actual comic books because I never read them, but for film and TV and YouTube, this is for you. All right. So I got some guests who gonna talk with me. We're gonna recap the year, what we like, what we didn't like. We're gonna do some deep diving. I'm really happy to have our first guest. I actually got to I got to meet her at Comic-Con last year. I went to a Comic-Con and did a convention, and she was really cool, and we follow each other, and she's a writer. She also hosts a podcast called Women Wrestling Friends. Women Wrestling Friends. I was going to read it, but you know That's what? Okay. Beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
Super talented Tamara Brooks, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up for Tamara.
Yes, Tamara Brooks up in the house. What?
I'm slapping the knees to make that noise for you, girl.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My other guest, he is running late at the moment. Yeah, this nigga, he's just showing up on nigga time. There's just no way to get around it. He knew what time he was supposed to be here, and he gave me his spiel on Facebook in the inbox, and I was just like, all right, man. When you get here, you get here. But he's a very funny dude. My boy Barry Cole, comic, but he also is a huge comic book head, so he's gonna join us, and so we're gonna try and figure out how we can get into some other deep dives, and then that way the ones that I really want to get into, hopefully he's here, and then we can do that further on. Paul is here today, but Paul doesn't have a mic, so he just gave me the little dude like with the finger. What's that called?
Hang loose.
The shaka.
Yeah.
He gave me the shaka hand, so I shaka backed at him just in case you guys were wondering. I think it's episode number 41. It's been a good year, for the culture. Still here. We made it through our first year. We've had some shifts. We're still trying to figure out how we can best do the show in the new year, but I'm just happy that I did make it this far because the key is to just never stop. You just got to keep going. Sometimes you could take a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple months off. I didn't take a couple months off, but I took a couple weeks. But you never stop. So I think that's very important. So Tamara, how are you feeling?
I'm good. It's end of the year. We got some good stuff coming on. We have the Spider-Verse, which I haven't seen yet.
Yes. I got to go check out Spider-Verse.
I already love it.
I'm hearing best Marvel made product, like all so time. Epic, like all top time. Tier, like. Yeah. And so I gotta go see it now because of all this hype. And I was gonna go see Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not really up there for me.
Not me either.
I watched the Fox show.
Yeah.
I've seen all of the movies, but I've never loved Spider-Man.
For people who don't read comics,
yes,
the 90s Spider-Man cartoon is the best introduction to the wacky shit that comics is.
Okay.
Because they did what a lot of people hate the clone saga for Spider-Man, but they actually did it on the show. So that's when it's like Ben Reilly shows up. There's a version of him that got 6 arms, like all kinds of weird stuff happening.
Yeah. But it all happened through Peter.
Yeah. So that was the thing that actually happened in the comics. Basically, I think at the time when the show was on, that they actually did, which was this complicated 6-part story and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
they definitely played around season by season. I think because when I watch these shows that are on live action now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this character from a Spider-Man because Spider-Man introed the Punisher. They had a Blade moment. They did a Daredevil arc. They did an X-Men crossover. They did.
They did all kinds of stuff. There's a Silver Sable thing.
They had villains of all
kinds of
all
stuff.
All kinds. All of them well serviced.
I don't think it had Spider-Ham in that one.
Did it need Spider-Ham?
No, it didn't. I'm just trying to remember what the earliest instance of me seeing Spider-Ham in something was. I don't think it was that one. But
Yeah. I still don't remember what happened with Mary Jane. Did she really die or did she not die? I remember she became like ice water. She melted?
She melted, but they said that she was a clone. And so she was lost in a different dimension, I think it was.
The real Mary Jane.
The real Mary Jane. But that was the end of the last season that they had. So that's why we don't know what happened to her. I think that was like
they never solved that? That was like a...
Not that I remember. I could also be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that's the last episode of the last season.
I'm so mad at how a lot of these shows that like killed it in my childhood, like the animated series, they did horrible finales. They X-Men did not have a horrible finale.
Yeah.
Like I learned about how the season 5 was weird because they had different animators and it looked so different.
It was all
like
shiny and weird.
And it was removed from the season storyline before. They just did like 13 random shits.
Yeah.
And the finale was actually Xavier going to Genosha, getting sick, and then the girl Leandra saving him, and Magneto like had connected so that he can get the treatment.
Yes.
And when it really should have been them just beating Apocalypse, kind of that should have been the finale.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man's ending was like the grandma Spider-Man kind of like teaching him how he could use these other Spider-Mans to help him.
Yes. So because that was and that was in process, I think, of trying to find Mary Jane. I think that's what it was.
Did he find her?
No, I don't think he did. Unless I missed it. It's very possible that I missed it.
Batman, the animated series, never had a proper finale. Like, you don't even know what happened. It was just like, they ended the original run where it was like him and Robin. Then they did the adventures of...
well, it was the Batman and Superman.
The new Batman Adventures.
And then,
No, that's when he had like Tim Drake and then Nightwing and Barbara a little bit. So it was like, but Batman was kind of like just there, but in the middle, but it wasn't really his storylines. I mean, then they had villain stuff. They never got a finale. I never had a closed...
Yeah, cartoons are weird because they don't treat it with the same sort of not that they treat live action shows.
You think movies have any more respect?
Yeah, no. I was gonna say live action shows. At least you like get some sort of knowledge what they do. But like cartoons
there's a good
are done
season finale.
Yeah, cartoons are done so far in advance that
that's true.
You don't really know. Like at the time that you're making it, you assume you're gonna get another thing because it's like you're making it at least
right
like 6 months before it
you have it in mind that we get another year. So sometimes they didn't always have the way of like, we're gonna write this where there is a finale if we don't ever get brought back on, but then it's always open door. I guess it's always hard to kind of execute open door finales if season by season. That is kind of hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
So I cut him some slack as a grown man. As a kid I was fuck. What's wrong? Why did they take Batman away from me?
Yeah, how dare.
And then like Batman Beyond, I did watch because I was still young enough to get into, but I didn't. What was their finale? They didn't really have a hard out finale.
No, they didn't have a finale.
But then they kind of did it on Justice League because they did Terry into the future.
Yep.
He found out that Bruce was his father, and it's kind of like, look, Bruce hasn't died. He's kind of gonna be here.
Yeah.
He decides that I'm gonna try to have it all. Because I'm not like my dad, even though I am like my dad. Yeah. I'm half of what he is.
Yeah, he's sort of daddish.
He's Yeah.
He's not as grumpy.
I fucking love Bruce Wayne though. Man.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne's,
he like
grumpy old Bruce Wayne.
Grumpy Bruce is the best Bruce, man. I mean, Superman is still like, Bruce, aren't you ever gonna? No, the mission is never over.
I'm 86 and I can't pee on my own.
But I'm still gonna find a way to.
I'm gonna beat that ass with this cane.
Gotham still needs saving, not my nig.
Yeah, forever.
What else? I ain't watched Static Shock to know if they had a finale. That was a good finale. Did you like X-Men Evolution?
I did like X-Men Evolution. That was like the only X-Men show that got a finale, I think. Yeah,
they kind of did a proper one. They beat it built up from season by season to Apocalypse, and then they finally defeated him, and it was kind of like a happy. But then
they had that flash forward thing. Yeah. Which, man, I really wish they could have seen them do the Phoenix arc. That would have been interesting.
Animated series, y'all let us down with animated finales.
But I think as a nerd.
Yeah, as a nerd.
It's a good way of getting you used to the disappointment as being an adult and watching live action shows.
Because people disappoint us, yes.
Like Fox is going to be foxing you. And so you have something that's on for 12 episodes, you get really into it, and they're like, haha, middle finger, fuck you, we're going to cancel it.
Okay, so let's move it up some. I'm saying because it's good that you brought that up. Yes. So what I want to do is kind of like recap this year's DC and Marvel film and TV stuff. So whatever the ones that we actually did watch, we can have an opinion on.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, since you talk about Fox, there is
Gotham?
Not Gotham, the X-Men one, The Gifted.
Oh, Gifted.
Do you watch Gifted?
I kind of sort of
at least season one? Or
no, you know what? I never got into it, and this is why. Live action X-Men hurt my feelings. because they never end up being what I want them
In
to
the
be.
movies we're talking about?
Yeah, just in general.
Okay, yeah,
Legion's good, but Legion is
I didn't
its
watch
own.
Legion, but I hear it's great.
Yeah, it's its own weird, trippy kind of situation that
separate.
works for what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. Gifted felt like it was going to be what I wanted it to be, but I was scared that it wasn't. So I thought I would give it a season, hear what people thought about it, and then get into it. So I kind of started watching a little bit this year. I saw like two of the episodes, so I can kind of get an idea of where they're going. So, but it was a good episode. I think it's interestingly made. I like that. It's pretty well cast. I like the people who are on it.
I do like the cast. But they use a couple of like weak mutants that I don't care for, like the dude who could flash light out of his hand.
Yeah,
it's just. But then Polaris is cool. The son of the daughter of Magneto, and you have some of the people that were in Days of Future Past, like what's his name?
Warpath.
Warpath. Yeah. They use the Warpath. They use Blink. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that I had a concern about because. Kind of like DC / Warner Brothers has their very specific rules about who can be used where. The X-Men rights are super complicated.
Oh man, because it's Sony, right?
Because Fox,
20th Century Fox.
Yeah, exactly. Which is getting bought by Disney, so in 2 years it won't be a problem.
And
anymore.
we're gonna really get good X-Men. We had to sit through 20 years of up and down X-Men live actions before we can probably get some fire ass X-Men going into the 2020s.
Basically,
we're gonna get fire ass X-Men though.
Yes, because it will.
Because we know that Kevin Feige is in charge of that as well, and we know that Kevin Feige he trusts people. He loves Marvel. He loves he has the respect of it.
He does.
So,
and I asked him once at a thing. I was like, "So are
you got to meet him?"
Yeah, like I was at a press
talk
thing.
about it.
It wasn't like super interesting. We didn't get like a whole thing, but like I was at somebody took me to a TCA party. That was the Marvel party.
Okay.
And so everyone's there. You could technically go up them and interview people, but as I am not a TCA member at this moment, I decided to be real chill and just kind of.
If it happens, it happens. If it happens, I ain't on his dick.
Yeah, so no.
I ain't on Kevin's dick like that.
And so so there was a moment where it was just like really in passing, and I just was kind of like, so are the Inhumans kind of like replacement X-Men? It's like, no, it's no replacement X-Men. No replacement X-Men. And he just kind of looked at me, and then he walked away because he didn't want that follow-up question because he knew I was going to have it.
He knew you was going to.
And I was always going to be like, but they are, right? Because that's what. Because
Inhumans didn't do well, right?
Because you got somebody who doesn't give a shit or know about comics to do it, and who was responsible for the worst season?
Or ABC?
This was ABC, and they got the guy who did the first season of Iron Fist, who did the worst 2 seasons of Dexter.
Wait. This showrunner, he's not doing. When does he do good work? Because I heard everything by Trash Inhumans, Iron Fist season 1.
Garbage.
Let me tell you something. Because I am so committed to universe building.
Did you actually watch Iron Fist?
I watched Iron Fist.
Oh.
Season 1 was horrible.
Bless your heart, I didn't do it.
But season 2 was good.
That's because he wasn't there anymore.
And when I read, because I do my research, like I'm very into knowing about, I don't know, maybe it's the nerd in me or just the curiosity, because I think when things don't work, especially when it's about adaptation property, you have to kind of know what would happen behind the scenes to understand why a movie works and does not work. Because so many problems happen with the studio and the creatives, and when there's a lot of hands in a pot and a lot of meddling, it can affect one's vision to execute something. Yeah. So like, I'm not always ready to outright blame a director, because I know directing is who gets assigned as director is huge when it comes to these properties, because they have to be willing to be flexible with, or some directors don't care about comic books.
Right.
Some directors do. And that really matters when it comes to like how a movie is done. Like when we talk about the old X-Men with Bryan Singer, a lot of people felt like Singer did some good ones, but when you learn that he didn't want to do anything from the comic books and kind of wanted to just have these characters different, you're like, oh, okay, this is why I have gripes with X-Men, because
and they age poorly.
And they don't age well.
Yeah, like I watched X2 for the first time,
and that was the good one back in the day. That was like the best of those 3.
And I still have my quibbles with it or whatever. And the parts that I felt that I really enjoyed still hold up. Like the best part of all of those movies is the Berserker rage in the mansion. That's the most Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
besides
when they attack.
Logan. And so he goes in and like does all that kind of stuff. That's a great moment
with the milk and then the cat.
Cyclops' like 4-second fight scene before he gets worked. Right. Justice for Cyclops.
What was it about? Wasn't there a thing about that Cyclops and the director?
Oh yeah, James Marsden left to do Superman Returns.
No, not that part. But the guy who played not Cyclops, Colossus. I'm thinking about Colossus.
Oh, Daniel Cudmore. There might be some spicy business. Are you talking about just the way he got He got discovered?
He got 4 seconds. But you know what? Let's not talk about that.
Okay, sorry. There's a whole...
Because I was thinking Colossus the whole time, because you said 4 seconds. I'm thinking about when Colossus helped Wolverine a little bit.
Sure.
So
that was actually
Cyclops.
Yeah.
And the way they did James Marsden, who's really good. Who's a really good actor. And they fucking Cyclops. I mean, Cyclops is a pussy nigga in the comic books.
But he's only...
And on the TV, and in the animated series, he was pussy.
Yeah, but... They write him that way so that you can get invested in the Jean Wolverine portion of that
Which is
triangle. True. And Wolverine ruins everything. He ruins everything.
He's problematic.
He's problematic as fuck.
He's messy as fuck, girl.
Storm had her own comic. And this is they put her together with Logan.
I remember when they tried that in the future thing, right?
No, but currently this was like a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
So they had a comic and they got together and then they killed Logan. And Storm's whole solo comic was her cleaning up his fucking messes for the first. Like I only made it 4 issues because I'm like, oh, are we still doing
messes? Like she went to like places where he had killed people.
Somebody came up to him and been like, hey, Logan promised this thing for me. I'm gonna hold you to it. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go do it. I'm like, no, she wouldn't. She would not go with you for this.
Well, in the words of Halle Berry. Who's in and out African accent, she chose a side.
Yeah, she chose a side. Halle Berry.
It's so crazy how Halle Berry just left the accent after she tried it in the first one.
They told her not to do it anymore after the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. I would have kept trying.
It wasn't, listen.
At least I've chosen a side.
Yeah.
Gene, I don't. That was so horrible.
Anyways, sorry.
So what
digression. What were we saying?
The directors.
Yes.
Like, okay, so I'm more of a DC than a Marvel guy, but I love X-Men. X-Men is my favorite thing, so I'm very invested in how the X-Men was treated. And you know, obviously, the DC universe is pretty much imploded, and they have 100 movies in development. Some of them that could be cool, and some of them why. Yeah. When are you guys ever gonna really get this done? And what sense does it make to do a movie like that? And why are you developing so many movies? But the Zack Snyder thing I'm very conflicted on because a part of me felt like if you had let Zack Snyder rock and let him do it how he was just the path that he was on, I think Justice League could have been more epic than what it came out to be from what I had heard about what he was trying to do. But I also hear that he was not a guy who liked to have the comic book inspiration either. Like he wanted to ignore it and do things his way. And some of it led to very disrespectful in terms of classic treatment of how the characters are portrayed, such as Batman directly killing. Because in live action, Batman has definitely indirectly killed a lot.
Listen.
He blew up that building in the first one, okay? That chemical plant.
To me, that's a great litmus test. Do you think there were people in that building when he blew it up?
We saw people in that building.
You saw people running. I am 50. I'm an optimist, and I prefer to believe that everybody got out of that building okay. And I'll die on this hill. This is a hill I will die on. You can believe that a bunch of people died in that building, and that's fine. But I will die on that hill. I know. You're finding out something really new? Like this.
What about Batman Forever? When Two-Face tried to get him in the street with the rocket launcher.
I don't remember Batman Forever that well.
With Val Kilmer?
No, I remember the movie, but I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm not saying that he probably didn't kill people there, but I'm talking specifically about the chemical factory.
Okay, chemical factory.
Yeah, everything else is like a whole thing, but like the chemical factory specifically.
Snyder Batman killing, Superman kind of killed. Superman definitely killed that dude who was holding Lois Lane when he took him to the wall.
Yeah, no, that guy's dead.
Superman definitely killed.
Super dead.
And he's never that like hard.
Yeah,
because you know what, Batman versus Superman, I felt like the extended cut was way better, and it helped it make more sense to me.
Well, because it put all the Clark parts back in there and all the Superman side parts, so
it made it like this works.
You know,
it makes it a much better film. Not to say it makes it a great film, but it made it much better.
It gives a better context to why Superman is behaving the way he is towards Batman at the very least.
Right.
I think it's a very complicated thing because I think
Justice League was such a mess.
Justice League was a mess, but just because you hear something was a plan doesn't mean that's what was actually going to happen.
That's true. I respect
on paper, the things that you say that happen in Man of Steel in general, like if you just do a general 5-sentence breakdown of Man of Steel, that probably all sounds really reasonable. But it's all, at the end of the day, about execution.
Yes.
The scripts were not. It's all execution. So, you want to take Wonder Woman's Maxwell Lord moment and you want to give it to Superman and Zod. Okay, whatever, sure. So from a structural standpoint, you have that whole fight in Smallville, which fucks everything up. This is the first time Superman's having a big fight against anybody who's powerful. He gets really angry. He's not really paying attention. He fucks up the town. So if he does not learn the lesson of that when he's fighting Zod in Metropolis, then what's the point of fucking up Smallville?
Okay.
Right? So like you have a whole sequence of Superman, Zod fighting, and like...
But to be fair, in the animated series, Superman was always fighting and busting through buildings, was he not?
Yeah, but in the animated series...
We was always cool with it. So why not break buildings?
It's not about the breaking the buildings. It's about, again, it's about execution. So if they're fighting and Superman is this whole time trying to struggle and fight Zod, but to get him out of the city and get him someplace that there's not a lot of people, you know, whatever, then that's one thing. Because then you could have the struggle of Zod keeps punching Superman back into the city and fucking up stuff, right?
Right.
Superman punched Zod into space and then punched him back into Metropolis.
Out of all places.
All places. So
to me, punched him into like Blue Valley or something.
There's deserts, man.
There's a lot of DC cities.
There's a lot of places that nothing is there, right?
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Okay. In DC City, I'm trying to always map up DC City, right?
Yes.
Where is Gotham usually? Is Gotham New York, or is Gotham Chicago, or is Gotham like in the Midwest?
Yeah, that's a weird thing because it changes from time to time. Okay. So in certain parts, it's Gotham and Metropolis are a bridge apart.
Right.
So it's like Jersey and New York.
Okay.
Then there are other places where...
And Bloodhaven is a bridge apart from Gotham, right?
Yeah. So
Metropolis, Gotham, and Bloodhaven.
Right. So there are other places that...
But Bloodhaven is not too far from Star City, right?
Right. So, okay. So I think I haven't looked at the most recent map. And that's because that's kind of nerd I am. I have looked at maps.
That's dope. I'm glad that you do. This is for y'all.
Yeah. So Metropolis is specifically supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be like West Coast, East Coast, but like maybe... I'm trying to remember last time.
Like DC?
Maybe DC, more Philly, like that kind of thing. Because then Metropolis is still in Kansas. So that's one of the maps. So that's maybe supposed to be a Twin Cities situation. But the thing is, they're not the Twin Cities because that's where the Flash is. So his city, Central City, and Keystone. Those are the actual Twin Cities. There, it's very complicated. But Bloodhaven and Gotham are actually the Jersey and New York now. So it's just a matter of where they are in that.
What would Star City be then?
Star City was supposed to be Seattle.
Right. And then because they've had Arrow be in Star City and sometimes Arrow's in Seattle.
Yeah. So I think that Star City kind of flips. So I think Star City's another one of those ones that are on that eastern board corridor leading into the Midwest that just kind of keep moving depending on like there were different places.
Where's Green Lantern again?
Green Lantern is in I can't remember because I hate Hal Jordan. It's there. It's gone. I can't think of it.
Really?
Yeah.
There's Star City, there's Blue Valley, there's Keystone, Lyman.
He blew it up. He got real mad. He got blew up. Yeah, he blew up his own city. When he's parallaxed. I can't remember the name.
I can't remember the city.
It's because I hate Hal Jordan. That's 100% why I don't remember his city.
Okay.
Like most everybody else's city, I don't remember Hal because I hate Hal. And Kyle was in Metropolis initially. So
Hub City.
City. No. Hub's somebody else. Whatever. We'll figure it out at the end of the day.
Damn.
Yeah.
Actually, let me
just get a phone. Just get a phone and look at it. Because I was on a panel at Los Angeles Comic Con about like the best Green Lantern.
Isn't it Jon Stewart? Universally?
Yes. The answer is Jon Stewart or Kyle Rayner. I'll also accept Kyle Rayner.
I hear Kyle's pretty cool.
Nobody wanted Hal Jordan for this panel. Nobody wanted to defend him.
You know, they've given him so many chances. He's only good in the animated universe. That's his best.
Green Lantern animated series is a great show.
It only lasted one season, right?
Yeah, I know.
But it was good. That was his shining moments. Yeah, but in the comic books, they do him horribly.
Yeah. Well, they're stretches. Everybody gets a stretch where they're written really poorly. So
everybody's had a bad run. There's nobody who's been immune from bad.
Yeah, that's why I believe in comics there are very few, if not no, bad characters, just bad writers. Because a bad writer will take a great character and just
fuck it up,
just right into the ground, man.
Damn, I'm on Green Lantern.
We're looking it up because we have to.
Coast City.
That's right. Yes, Coast City. Oh, they had a whole thing in Coast City in like second season, one of the second season Arrow flashbacks.
Yeah,
He
with
was
the
in
pizza.
Coast City with the pizza.
It's great
place,
pizza
yeah.
in Coast City.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Anyway,
we got lost.
We did.
We definitely. Okay, so let's.
I hope you're enjoying my general nerd.
This is what it's for. I don't
Fall
get a
down
chance to do
holes.
this very often.
Yeah.
Most of my co-hosts, they're not into this shit at all.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm way too into it.
okay, so all right, you know what? Let's just do some movies. 'Cause
Okay, yes,
we've
let's
saw some
go to
movies.
the thing. Okay,
So what would we rank our top 5 comic book movies this year?
this year. Well, I haven't seen Spider-Verse, but I'm gonna put it in there anyways because I think I'm gonna love it.
Right.
Black Panther, obviously.
Black Panther. You
Very
like it more than Infinity War?
Yes,
Why?
because it was
Because what?
because it didn't stop on a. Infinity War is not a complete story. It has an
Because we're waiting
end
for next year.
because we're waiting for the next half.
But from a start to finish point, what did you enjoy more?
I enjoyed Black Panther more.
Okay.
I 100% enjoy. Like I didn't. It's not that I didn't enjoy Infinity War, but like there was a joy in watching Black Panther and an overall depression in Infinity War. You know what I'm saying?
But yo, isn't that the great thing though? I've never felt a depressed feeling the way I had in Infinity War. Like the way it ended,
Sure.
that movie theater, that first time I
Super
saw
quiet.
it was silent.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I never had that because the heroes always prevail. And it was
Right.
just something like, not this time.
Yeah. No, really good filmmaking, but also, even though Infinity War is a thing of a bunch of heroes coming together, which we have seen before and fighting a big thing, like we've seen that before. We haven't seen it on the scale, and we
Not
haven't-
this scale.
and so that's really great. But like
Yeah.
all of the care and craft that went into Black Panther for every stitch of clothing, for every accent,
Yeah.
for everything, I
Yeah.
just was so impressed.
And we
at
did
that
$1 billion.
movie.
We did $1 billion.
1 billion over, huh? Check it, get them bags. Because its success represents the loosening of pockets to some very uptight white people who are in charge of things,
Yeah.
and so that's the thing and it's just a good movie. Like
It's definitely good. It's good.
and-
I watched it the other day with my girl because we were like, let's see if Black Panther still holds up.
Yeah.
Oh, we still enjoyed it. It's still a good ride.
and it represents a lot of different like conversations that Black
So
people
many.
have that. And like in really interesting ways that aren't like overt, but are very recognizable if you are a person of color or
Yeah.
down enough to know what
It
that
hit too
stuff
much.
is.
It hit too much culturally as well as good in the comic book realm for it to be like I know some people some people who have a case to make it that it was overhyped or like it was overrated or whatever like
no.
that. Like I know some black people who was like, man, it wasn't all that. Like, and I mean, I
guess,
I heard out their
but-
point because they didn't feel like
Are these people dead inside? Like 10% dead inside?
they're comics, so you never really know. It might
Yeah,
be 8%
no, they're
dead inside.
minimum 10%.
Right,
dead inside.
probably a little scoring, but they
Yeah.
made some points. I was like, I hear you, but it hit too many. I was
Yeah.
too happy watching that movie, and aside from just pride, but just like it worked, it was good. Like
Yeah.
we've seen the ones that were not good, especially for the origin of the Marvel universe, because Thor, you watch Thor, it's very hard to get through that first Thor.
I still like the first Thor.
Captain America: First Avenger, I kind of liked it,
I still like it. Yeah.
you like Thor 2?
Yeah. Well, Thor 2 not as much as the first Thor.
The first Thor, I
Because
didn't like
the first Thor to me is very classic hero's journey, and we don't
Yeah.
get like all powerful superhero that has to just do normal shit right now.
Right,
Like
right.
it's not like he's not super stripped of his power, but he is, and it's like a personal journey thing. And as a writer and a reader,
Okay.
I like that kind of
I
stuff.
hate the Thor one. First Thor is hard. You see
Which
how
is
much
fine,
different Chris
understandable.
Hemsworth looks too from the first Thor?
Oh,
Like,
he got real, but he was like, people like this much. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We're gonna work out even more.
yeah.
More cut.
By Ragnarok, it's like, did you like Ragnarok though? Even though
Yeah,
they
I
changed
loved
it in
Ragnarok.
tone.
I loved Ragnarok.
But this is why I think that the problem with Thor was that they should have never did the Earth thing. It should have stayed. Everything on Asgard was always good in the Thor movies.
Yeah, but you have to give Thor a reason to want to protect the Earth.
That's true, and
So
that's
you
where the
need to
first
have
one was
him-
necessary with Natalie
Yeah.
Portman, even though they kind of like broke up now. Because
Yeah, I mean she's around.
she ain't there no more.
No, she's not there. The girl, they're not booed up.
He
But,
not,
you
he
know.
not, he not
She
getting,
exists.
He's not getting them little cheeks no more.
No, she exists though. She's doing
so
science shit.
we like Black Panther.
Yeah,
What else came out? Avengers. I mean, let's.
Infinity War is good. Like I think that it was
Thanos was really dope.
They did a great job with Thanos. Loki is not dead. And anybody who thought
didn't
he was
die?
dead, Loki can't be dead. You know why? To
Why-
me,
why can't Loki die?
Because it's not that he can't die. I just don't think he died that way.
But he got stabbed.
Yeah, but when has Loki ever want to stab someone from their front? Ever?
Yeah. So you think that was a clone?
Yeah. I think every other time he's ever stabbed somebody, he's at least tried to do a
I'm still trying to
duplicate.
figure out how in the second one he didn't die. Like, they never explained that. Like when
they didn't, because he's a trickster. He just made it seem like he died. That's all. He's because not only he's not Asgardian, he's the ice giant race. So we don't know how ice giants really.
Okay.
We don't know. We don't know how they're different from Asgardians. And Thor is already really, really hard to kill. He survived out in space, right?
Pretty much, he landed on somebody's.
Yeah, and he was still breathing. So, like, you already know that they're strong as hell and they can survive in the vacuum of space for at least a good chunk of time. So just getting blown up by somebody or getting stabbed by somebody, it's going to hurt and it's probably not going to be great, but I don't know if he's going to be dead.
Do you think Captain America's going to die?
I don't want Captain America to die.
Will he lose his serum?
Maybe. Captain America's probably going to die. The only reason that I
feel like one's gonna have to get. There's no way.
Tony's dead.
You think Tony's dead?
100%. Tony's dying. 100%.
Don't give me stuff that because I know you're in the community. So
no more rumors stuff. This is not
based on. Why do you think Tony's gonna die?
From a story perspective, as a writer, it all began with Tony.
Yeah.
So it has to end with Tony. And so if I had thought about, because everyone's talking about, okay, who's gonna die in Infinity War? Someone's gonna die in Infinity War, right? So I was guessing a couple of different people.
People die.
Well, about half of everybody died in Infinity War, right? So if we're talking, yes, but it's also about permadeaths too. If we're talking about like
permanent,
because you're gonna erase a bunch. We already know Black Panther's getting a sequel. We know he's not staying dead. Doesn't mean it didn't hurt.
To see him disintegrate.
But we know he's coming
Strange.
back. Peter Parker, they're not killing that. Everybody likes that Spider-Man.
Yeah, so we know that's not going to be temporary.
So we know that's going to be temporary.
That's going to be temporary.
Yeah, so we know people are going to come back. We don't know exactly who's coming back. We don't know how they're coming back. But if I were writing this, I would have Tony take one of the gems, probably the time gem or maybe the power gem, stick it in his arc reactor, and that's how he just blows the fuck out of it. Like
you heard
Thanos,
it here
he destroys he like self-destructs with Thanos. But as we know in comics, there's a character called Ironheart who after Tony quote unquote dies at one part, spoiler alert, the comic that's like 3 years old, Tony's consciousness gets uploaded, so he's like Jarvis. So I think that if they still wanted Robert Downey Jr. around and didn't want to pay him that show up on the set money, they could pay him come do
25?
voiceovers. Yeah, like
you get to cut it by 25.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how that is, but just
I think it could be cool if they kill Cap and Tony.
They might kill them both. I mean, because they are like the first two. I just know I'm 80% sure they'll kill Captain America. I'm 98% sure they'll kill Tony.
That's a big percentage.
Yeah, like because that's from a writer's perspective, that just makes too much sense. Yeah. It just makes too much sense. They're probably going to have a thing. So and they're definitely going to have a thing where Cap sees young Peggy at some point. So in my head, and this has nothing to do with anything that I've heard. I've not read any scripts. This is just based on how I would write it.
Okay.
Something happens where they can go back in time. They get the gauntlet. It breaks up. There's 6 of them. There's
dispersed.
There's all those, there's all those stones. So a bunch of Avengers each get an Affinity Stone that correlates somehow with something that their story is like. So Steve would get the Time Stone. He'd be able to go get that last dance. And then if he gets that last dance, then he can die and it's fine.
Okay.
Or they kill him and he sees visions of Peggy and them dancing as he dies. One of the two. Because I just feel like
what a loser.
If you're gonna twist that knife into the fandom, you really gotta twist that knife into the fandom
that way. Okay, so we liked Infinity War. What else came out this year? I saw Venom. You didn't see Venom.
I didn't see Venom yet.
I found out Venom was like a rushed movie, and it felt and it watched like a rushed movie, and it took them forever. I did not care about the first 30 minutes of the movie, so it took a while to get going. But Tom Hardy's a star, and he can make anything bad halfway good. So I think the second one will be better.
Yeah. I'm not sure why Tom Hardy decided to sound like Christopher Walken for his accent in this thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm not going to tell Tom Hardy what to do.
Yeah, no, it was wonky. And I can't tell if it was just the voiceover for the commercial because it's like you forgot what voice you did for the movie. So they come and have you do like VO and you're like, I think this is how I sounded.
Eddie Brock being in Frisco was kind of weird because I'm like, no Spider-Man. This is dumb.
I think
but whatever.
Having a Spider-Man-less Venom is a weird thing, and I'm not sure why they decided to do it that way. I know that they were talking about having a Silver Sable movie. I don't know if they're still going to do that. Yeah. That makes a little bit more sense to me because she's, she's a.
What is she to Venom?
She's not. Well, she is a like she's for hire. So she's like,
Okay.
so she does whatever. And she was Russian. She defected or whatever, got out. And so she's kind of strong and durable.
What else came out this year?
All kinds of stuff came out this year.
That was comic book.
I'm gonna look it up because my brain's not working.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know I saw like a.
It's hard because we have so many movies that are out like now or about to be out because Aquaman's about to come out.
Yeah. Are we gonna get Dark Phoenix anytime soon?
Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix, I think is supposed to come out.
They pushed it back again like 2 times.
Oh, they did. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we had Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2. Oh, yeah, Deadpool 2.
That was cool.
I liked it. I also aggressively didn't like the whole fridging aspect, but then at the end they undid time, so I guess that they technically didn't fridge anything.
Right.
I guess that's weird. But I really loved Domino and Cable. They were really good.
Yeah, Zazie Beetz, she killed that shit.
Deadpool is the best X-Men movie ever made. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, because Logan was end of 2017. So
yeah,
okay, all right.
So Aquaman's coming out like in 4 days or whatever.
Yeah. Let's go to Marvel TV.
Marvel TV. Okay.
Do you watch the Netflix?
I haven't. I've gotten through some of the Netflix.
So did you watch Luke Cage?
I like Luke Cage. Luke Cage.
What'd you think of Luke Cage versus Bushmaster? I want to be Luke Cage.
You know what? It was a weird thing, but I really liked it.
I kind of thought he was a good villain.
Yeah.
Like, the origin and stuff like that. Like, people shitted on his accent, but I just thought the history of the family, of why he had such a beef with one in that territory from Alfred Miss Jones, whatever his name was. I thought that whole arc was great.
Yeah, I think they did a good job at building backstory, and I think that for me I might not always like how they stick the landing, but I like Luke Cage's
when I saw
building.
Michael Coulter dab, I was like, oof. Why?
Well, but I think that it's pretty consistent. I think they do a good job at like building that world and building who he is and why he operates the way he does.
Yeah.
So I have an appreciation about that. I refuse to watch Iron Fist. I just straight up refuse.
Iron Fist season 2 was pretty solid. Look, if you couldn't get through season 1,
I'm not gonna watch season 1. I'll watch season 2 though.
Okay, well, I guess you could watch the season 1 recap, and then that'll explain enough for you to watch season 2. Season 2 is they do it really well. Like, they explore more Kung Lun.
Yeah.
Danny is just not a privileged, stubborn white guy. Like, I mean, if I would tell you how many times in season 1 he had like a monologue of like, I'm the immortal Iron Fist, the protector of Kung Lun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm fierce and it was just like, you just come like an angry, and they joked at that. So. Like, he has a cameo in Luke Cage. They kind of did like an Iron Fist team up, like a Heroes for Hire team up, one episode, and it worked really, really well. And like, you already see a tonal change in Danny's character, and then he was really good for season 2.
Yeah.
And everybody else who they kind of like explored in season 1, who they it didn't really make sense why they gave him so much focus.
Sure.
But they had to bring him back, obviously, because they were part of the cast. It worked.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy season 2.
I am interested in the Colleen Misty parts because
it was cool. It worked.
Daughters of the Dragon, man.
Fun. I always felt like they should just do a Heroes for Hire show, and you can have the 4. You can have Luke Iron, and then you can have Colleen, and because it's still Heroes.
That's true.
And you could just do two A plots and B plots in one show.
That's true.
And because I have all the same actors, you're not stretching thin with story.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's my problem. I thought that some of them they maybe just not. There's not enough history with Cage, Jessica, and Iron Fist where you can give them like seasons the way they do, episode by episode, 13.
Right.
Sometimes they were always ran thin.
Yeah, I think pacing is always a big problem with a lot of these shows. Is knowing it's kind of okay. So Agents of Shield, Agents of
Let's
Shield.
wait for when he comes. Yeah.
Is so Agents of Shield started doing.
Okay, I never watched Shield, but you can tell me more.
Yeah. Okay. So the first season was really weird because they were waiting for the Winter Soldier to drop, which then broke up Shield as an organization. So. It was a weird show that had to really depend on the movies to tell it what was going on. And that was mostly in season 1 and season 2. So then what they started to do is they kind of were around what was happening in the movies, but they weren't having to depend on it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so they started doing a thing where they kind of split the season in that the first 12 did a certain storyline and the second 12 did a second storyline. They still had a connectivity and it became a much better show after that because they didn't have to spin your wheels at these certain points.
Okay.
So last season was actually a pretty good one in terms of like stakes and things like that. So I say that to say that like, if you even with 12 episodes, it's hard for people
13?
to get the pacing. Yeah, 12, 13.
Yeah.
It's hard to get the pacing down. And I think that Netflix is so different because it's designed for binging that they don't even approach it in the same way. They think that they can meander when really you should treat it the exact same way as you treat regular TV in terms of like.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I felt like sometimes some shows would be really good in 10 instead of 13. But obviously, I'm not going to be mad at an actor getting a check for 13.
No,
So do 13, stretch that shit out.
Get a Christmas episode. I don't know.
Right.